Blender gets a massive speed boost, 4D video technology is almost here, and Midjourney has a very big problem on his hands. It's Motion Mondays. Hold on to your butts.
Popping bottles, putting supermodels in the cab. Live from the Mercer.
aescripts and aeplugins Summer of Sales is back with week 2 starting today, and there's tons of great tools on sale for 25% off.
25% off?
25% off. Here are some favorites worth your cash. Limber 2 from Animatable has become incredibly popular because it handles both quick rubber hose rigging and complex artwork using raster imagery. Bendio is like a way more powerful CC Bendit with cool tools to parent other layers onto bent layers, which is really difficult with built-in After Effects tools. Plug and Play has all their scripts on sale, including Brevity, which our editors could not live without. If you do any social media video with captions, Brevity is the easiest, fastest way to handle that. And while it's not part of Summer of Sales, Terrain Builder for Cinema 4D is on sale until June 21st. It creates 3D maps using Google Maps data, perfect for shows where you need realistic terrains. Week 3 of the sale starts in July, and don't worry, we will remind you. Creative Codex attempts to be the dictionary for creatives in our industry. If you're new to the field, there's tons of terms that get thrown around. First hold, second hold, boardomatic, and you may not know what these mean. Even if you know those terms, I spent time clicking around and found 4 terms I thought were really interesting. A producer is a sales rep who confidently steps into the producer role without having the knowledge, skills, or authority to back it up. You know, I've known a couple of producers in my career. Feedback Bingo lets creatives spot classic vague client comments like, make it pop, or can you make the logo bigger? The hairy arm technique is when designers intentionally leave an obvious mistake for clients to pick on, so they'll leave the rest alone. This one actually works. And finally, kind of have to censor this one, pixel f***ing, when someone pays way too much attention to minute details. Credit for that one goes to our very own Noel Honig. Check out Creative Codex and level up your motion design lingo. Our All Access program is growing like crazy. We're approaching 1,500 members, and nearly 5,000 critiques have been completed by our teaching assistants this year. The growth has been mind-boggling, and our new All Access community is the most engaged online community I have ever been a part of. We've also got new courses on the way, including Premiere for Motion Designers, our first editing course dropping in just a couple of weeks. Last week, we had our second live workshop where I showed students ways that we're using AI at School of Motion for concepting, editing, research, writing, and more. We do monthly live workshops with guest speakers and portfolio reviews, all part of our community replay library. You can find all the details at schoolmotion.com/allaccess, and for teams of 3 or more, reach out to learn about our amazing team training options. We've been talking about Ryan Corneal's Unreal Puppets all year, and now his new venture, Sandstring Studio, has teased a boxing game based on the real-time puppet techniques he's pioneered. Felt that boxing could be the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out of the next generation, and honestly, it looks incredible and really funny. Smell that?
I've been taking dumps in there all day.
I smell a possible franchise. Anyway, the game was featured at Epic's Summer Game Fest, getting it in front of millions of people. What's so cool about this is that it's a really good example of a 3D artist jumping right into the cutting edge of technology, trying to figure out things that other people haven't figured out yet. There's a cool behind the scenes video on Sandstring Studio's YouTube channel showing how they're doing this. It's turned into so many opportunities for Ryan, and I'd love to see more motion designers experimenting like this, because there's a lot of opportunities out there right now. And if you'd like to hear about a few more, check out the keynote presentation I gave at the AEPDX conference earlier this year. It dropped last week on this channel. This next one is straight out of a science fiction movie. The first time I saw it was a true holy crap moment. 4DV.ai has gained attention for turning 2D video into 4D experiences, meaning users can control camera perspective in both space and time, bending videos to their will like some kind of Doctor Strange superpower. Essentially, researchers figured out how to create dynamic Gaussian splats that play in real time without overloading your computer. There are crazy examples of taking a video shot from a third-person perspective and turning it into first-person, because once you've recorded the moving Gaussian splats, you can move the camera anywhere and even attach it to someone's face. You can interact with these Gaussian splats in your browser at 4DV.ai. It's absolutely incredible, with no lag and smooth frame rates. Think about what you could do as a motion designer when you can start keyframing cameras for a real video shot like this. You never really think about coordinate systems in 3D apps, and why would you? Nerd! But it's a surprisingly deep rabbit hole. The debate over whether y-axis or z-axis should be up is almost tribal, with different softwares picking sides decades ago. Unreal Engine has always used z-up, left-handed coordinates, setting it apart from tools like Maya or Unity that use y-up. Now Unreal is making a big move to align with the y-up, right-handed standard used by most modern 3D tools and file formats. Epic founder Tim Sweeney announced that Unreal Engine will be moving to left-up forward coordinates everywhere, starting with Unreal Editor for Fortnite and coming to Unreal Engine in an incrementally adoptable way, so this ideally won't break anything. You can see in this handy chart just how confusing this gets. Cinema 4D uses Y up left-handed, while Houdini uses Y up right-handed, and Unreal is the lone app using left-handed Z up. So as Tim says, the best time to make this change would have been 1995, but I believe the second best time is right now. Blender 4.5 is in beta with major upgrades like import nodes, Vulkan support, and adaptive subdivision. But the big one everyone's talking about is Vulkan, with a K, like Cornman. It's an API implementation that's really nerdy in the details, but fortunately our buddy Remington put out a video explaining the actual effect. The short version is Vulkan doesn't make your final render faster, but it makes everything else faster. It speeds up your viewport quite a bit and improves interactivity. Vulkan is currently only available on PCs due to different rendering systems that Macs use. Remington explains how Vulkan replaces OpenGL as Blender's graphical backend, making it easier to distribute work across CPU and GPU. Material loading, file opening, and basically everything in the interface is much faster. High poly sculpting is vastly improved, and overall, Blender can handle much higher poly counts without crashing.
Will it blend?
Yes, it will blend, just faster now. Time to feature some great work. So first up, Ravi Studio put out a brand film showing their versatility and incredible animation chops. Founder Austin Balance has been one of the studio's leading sales drivers through social media and viral content. And being able to offer that sensibility to clients is really smart. Next, Nick Greenwald released a 2025 motion reel with a really cool spin on the format, putting his personality front and center. With more motion designers out there, it gets harder to differentiate your reel, so doing things like this is really smart. Our friends at Vuko made a LinkedIn post about building motion right into its brand. See what I did there? Motion design systems are a relatively new idea, and this video does a great job explaining what it means to implement motion systems, cleverly tying the brand's iconic checkmark into the actual movement of the elements in their videos. And finally, EJ found the Bell Brothers YouTube channel and I was instantly hooked. These creatives do mashups using very well done compositing, like Sesame Street and the Birds and Outcast all mushed together. It's dangerously entertaining and killed my whole day because their entire channel is filled with gems like this.
Hello, ghetto, let your brain breathe, believe that's always mode.
I think you're evil! Evil!
Give them a subscribe and kiss your day goodbye. Procreate dropped a preview of a major update coming to Procreate Dreams. They've been addressing feedback from traditional animators. Dreams version 1 is amazing, but it required traditional animators to work in a way they weren't quite used to, and the interface had a much steeper learning curve than Procreate. Version 2 looks to borrow great features from Procreate and make the timeline much more powerful and easy to use. The redesigned timeline looks like it'll make it easier to mix traditional keyframed animation with frame-by-frame animation. The flipbook feature will work more like Procreate's animation assist feature, which traditional animators are probably more used to. They're bringing over great tools already in Procreate, like the lasso and drawing tools. They don't have a time frame for release yet, but as always, Dreams version 2 will be a free update. Bless up, Procreate, we love you guys. Time to feature our School Motion Student of the Week, Aida Baird, taking illustration for motion with TA Coralie Legrand. Aida lives in Portland, Oregon, and her rendition of Happy Anniversary is just amazing. This assignment asked students to illustrate style frames for a fictional project, and Aida decided to channel her inner flower child and go full yellow submarine art direction for this retro throwback look.
Now, come here, Club.
I absolutely love this. The color palettes, the style, especially the typography, everything really nails that 1960s vibe. It's surreal with clever ideas like having card suits be the characters' heads, playing with perspective, and great compositions. This is amazing work that's hopefully gonna get Aida some more eyeballs on her incredible talent. Aida, very well done. We can't wait to see what you do for the rest of the course. If you're an Octane user, especially new to Octane, you know that there are lots of different material types available when you install it. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming, so fortunately, on the SilverwingVFX channel, Raphael Rao guides you through each material type, starting with basics like diffuse and glossy, moving through advanced options like specular, metallic, universal, and standard surface materials. Each section is packed with practical insights. He doesn't just explain what each material does, but he gives you context on when and why you'd actually use them. For example, he points out that while the universal material can replicate almost any other material in Octane, its sheer number of settings can be daunting, so sometimes you want to use the simpler ones. It also covers specialty materials like hair, toon, composite, layered, and even lesser known null and clipping materials, which are invaluable for specific effects. Raphael does a great job with clear explanations and demonstrations, making this a pretty amazing resource for Octane users. We need to talk about Apple's new design system showcased at the WWDC conference. On version 26 of all of their OSs, there will be a new glass morphism look they're calling liquid glass. I gotta admit, it does look gorgeous in their demo videos, and there's a cool design philosophy behind it, but in a shocking twist, the internet doesn't really like it.
Not one bit.
Can you believe it? This never happens. Anyway, I think there are some valid points being made here. Trying to make your interface look like panels of glass creates issues with what UI designers call usability, how easy it is to actually use an interface. This also gets into accessibility, meaning how easy is it for people with different qualities of eyesight to read things and identify UI elements. There are examples from the beta where this interface convention works well in some situations and becomes almost unusable in others. Depending on the background showing behind glass elements, you may not actually be able to read the type. This delves into the eternal dance of form over function, and it's something motion designers will need to become familiar with as the line between linear and interactive motion design continues to blur. Finally, a really big story. Enormous! Possibly world-changing. A major lawsuit has been announced against Midjourney, and if this goes all the way,
He could go all the way.
it could change the landscape of AI for image and video generation. Disney, Marvel, Universal, and other major studios filed a lawsuit against Midjourney, accusing it of copyright infringement. The claim is that Midjourney used web scrapers to collect vast amounts of copyrighted images from the internet without permission, then trained its AI to generate new images of famous characters like Darth Vader, Minions, and Iron Man on demand, which is true. The studios argue this process is essentially digital piracy. Midjourney's defense will likely center on fair use, arguing its AI training is transformative and therefore legal. There are precedents. The famous Google Books case resulted in the Supreme Court letting a fair use ruling stand. The big question in my mind is, Midjourney clearly enables copyright theft, but does the tool itself constitute that? This is a complex legal case, and if Midjourney is found guilty, it could create a massive financial burden for companies like Midjourney, Kriya, Pika, Runway, and others, potentially shifting the tide towards tools like Firefly and Moon Valley, both of which are trained on licensed content. This court case is just beginning, so make sure you're subscribed to this channel. We will keep you posted. And that's it for this episode of Motion Mondays. Don't forget to check out All Access, which has exploded in popularity. Our new course, Premiere for Motion Designers, drops in a couple of weeks. You can check that out on our site, and we will catch you next week.